I'm actually writing an OO framework. Yes, I really do. And this means I'm adult next year and can call no longer myself Lichtkind, I guess. Yes, I'm a super secret project. Some people maybe know. And of course, what I have, private attributes, private methods, auto-generators, scatter setters, constructor, destructor, signatures, multi-method dispatch delegation. Yeah, moose. Why do I need my, you may be still ask. Because it's fast. And it has a nice syntax, even nicer than moose, and it's still fast. And I have, of course, parameter type checking, and we are still fast. Also, move fast. Not more fast, but almost move fast. Yeah. But the... Yes. But the real reason why I wrote this is I have method hooks, like before and after. We have ensured marshalling. So we can drag a window across into another application or across a net, and it can run the application the same because I'm guaranteed consistent. I invented a third scope, details later. Also this is ordered in importance. I feel I have better error messages, what's gone wrong with my type checking. I have no inheritance, not even roles, that's a feature. Yeah, it came about, I heard last holidays an old guy from the 80s explaining how objects were invented for a small talk, and he explained what objects actually are, or why they was invented, and it suddenly made click and said, oh, this way of programming I want to also do and try how far I can get. That's why no inheritance. It's more like delegation-based programming. We had your delegation on it. Yep. No, I didn't mention it. Very important. And should work with normal objects. Like I said, we have three scopes, public, private. I don't have to explain. And access mean while accessing the attributes which are really private, they so it's on one side good for a modeling standpoint. So I have a layer between the data and the actually function core, which so like I have an inner and outer API, and it also has a reason. That the accessors have their own, the type checking works in that scope. So the type checkers has also access to all attribute data and can do more complex runtime checks. So I have more messy code let out of my methods and in the nasty type check somewhere where I don't see it, and my methods have just the code I want them to have. Yeah, like I said, marshalling, I explained that. I have like new, and I have the restate, which can fill me all attributes. Like I said, I have better error handling with types that can inherit to other types, and this is handled cleanly. And no comment. It's just the way it is. And the method hooks are just nice for like util classes when I associative store for classes for objects. When I say, okay, I will have this object. 1 minute. Yeah. Will this object with this attribute has this value? Then I can pull it and it has all small runtimes and stuff like this works because I have hooks on the methods. Yeah, and that's basically it. Thank you.
I need your help. How many folks were at dinner last night and noticed the ramp before the bar area? Okay, did you know that Mark Keating insisted that had to be there? Yeah, Mark's required that of the venue because of me. It is not possible for me alone to thank him enough for that. Yeldy! it entertained the staff very much. They had never seen that, and I'm like, you have no idea how big a deal this is. That I can come to the bar without having to be a burden to somebody else. I can just come to the bar and get a drink. The rest of you take that for granted, and I don't. And having Mark go to that extra effort and insist on that extra effort from the venue meant an awful lot. So, you see him around. Thanks again.
Okay, at the Good Data, I'm working with 10 years and more old data, and some of the functions are pretty in bad shape. So it's common to find the functions with 10 or so positional arguments. Okay, so I wrote a simple utility function to that will work with both positional and named arguments that I use to refactor and to switch the named arguments. It was released just today, thanks to not uploaded. But thanks to Andreas scanning, I realized what I did wrong with the release, and yeah, that's the first part. So this is an example how it works. You can use it with both styles, and internally it has always named arguments. Easy for refactoring. After a few releases, you can get rid of it. Second thing what I want to share with you, during helping with NetAmazon S3 library, I came to the dilemma how to write the shared examples, the functions that you can use to test interface of another library. And I came out with prefix shared examples and the package. So I would like to discuss with you whether it is a good approach or bad. This is just announced. That's all.
Great. Hello, everybody. My name is Max, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about the state of Perl on Android. Back in 2015, I gave a talk about the state of Android in 2015 and how you can use Perl on Android. And basically back then it was the sad story of having to compile your own Perl, and even when you got it to compile, it didn't really work because Android is horrible. And now we have 2018 and we are in Glasgow, and I am here with an update. There is now an app on Android named Termux or Termux or something like that. And it gives you a Debian-like distribution with, Perl 526 as its own package and many other packages like you expect from Debian. And you can download and install this from F-Droid. And let's see whether task switching on this desktop-style Android works. I think I need to launch it here. There it is. And we get a terminal. And hopefully, all my secret commands still work. And you have to install Perl, which I already did. And then you can, for example, launch a small modulicious web server, and then go in your web browser on your phone and visit your Modulicious app. And yeah, Termux gives you access to a lot of other Android functionality, like the text messages, your contacts, the location services, and speech output, and everything. But yeah, it's all via command line tools, which is kind of bad because it would be nicer to have a loadable library. But on the other hand, it's kind of good because it's easy to access command line tools from Poe. And the command line tools mostly output JSON anyway, so yeah, interfacing with that is easy. But yeah, it needs a Perl module to be written for all those small programs. And yeah, that's basically it. Now I'm trying to take a picture of you. No output is good output. And let's see whether it worked. Oh, no, it doesn't seem to work. I don't know why, but maybe I killed the wrong web server. Yeah, that's likely the thing. But oh well. You can just imagine a picture of you all here. Thank you, everybody.
Excellent. HDMI was you? Yep. Go on.
Thank you for everyone who donated here. A big thank you for everyone who donated. We have ran over 2 hours today. It will be there tomorrow. Maybe we will release the keynote.
Do I have to hold this microphone? Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Some of you would have been in Cluj 2 years ago, and I launched a Perl publication called Cultured Perl on Medium, and then I kind of got distracted with other things, and it really only has my blog posts on it, which makes it a bit dull. So we've got more blog posts, and a perfect time to get into blogging about Perl is just after a conference, and handily, you are all at a conference. So please, blog about your experience at the conference. Your experience is completely different to anybody else's. I'd love to hear what everyone thought about the conference. And if you blog on Medium, please submit your blog posts to Cultured Perl. I'd love to have too many blog posts published. Thank you very much.
I closed the settings thing. Why is it disabled?
We're having some issues there. Just out of curiosity, so Ilya, Pete, are you two here? There's Pete, stand up. Ilya? So Ilya and Pete are two of the developers on Tau Station. They're a couple of the guys making everything work so wonderfully. How many of you, just show of hands, are playing Tau Station? Okay, a lot of you are enjoying that. So you can buy these guys beers, lots of beers. They will love you for it. So, if you're not familiar with Tau Station, it's a post-apocalyptic universe that we're building, completely free to play, MMORPG, back-end written entirely in Perl. We've created some really innovative programming techniques in order to make it work well, and the code's wonderful. Please, tweet it, post it, share it, play it, enjoy it. It doesn't cost any money. You will enjoy it, and it's a lot of fun.
Taustation.space.
Hi, this talk is about the Perl debugger.
let's say you have a test file. This is a very simple thing. It loads a few modules, does a simple test. We can execute it with prove at the top of the screen, and it just works. But sometimes tests fail, and you want to step into test function, see what's going on. You can do that with a debugger. And the debugger is supposed to stop at the first line of the main program after all the modules have been loaded. And what is this? We're right in the middle of test2 API in some kind of init block. We step to the next statement, and now we're in some kind of end block, and well, we can next again. And there's the actual beginning of the main program, and that kind of sucks. If you have to do this a lot, and if you're loading other modules that have their own init blocks. So can we tell the debugger to just stop at the beginning of the actual runtime? No, we cannot. At least I didn't find anything in the documentation. So can we hack around it? There's a file you can use, perldb, which is loaded by the debugger. It's just Perl code. It executes it from the current working directory. And there's an official API, but there are also variables you can set because this is Perl. So there's a type ahead buffer. Anything you put in there is treated as if you had typed it on the command line. So if you run the debugger from here, it automatically steps one statement ahead. So that's promising, but not yet quite what we want. Next attempt. There's another variable, pre, which is for pre-prompt commands, which you can actually set interactively. It's just strings of Perl code that are evaluated every time the debugger is about to display the prompt. And there we can fill the type ahead buffer. What that will do is it will just step over everything. Okay, that's too much, because every time it displayed the prompt, it automatically added an N for next. Then, this version, we can just check the built-in variable global phase. And if we're still in the init phase, we just step. We go to the next statement. And that works. This is the actual beginning of the main program. Yay, done. Except for one small thing, which is that pre-prompt command we defined is still in there. And now every time the debugger shows the prompt, it checks the global phase again to see whether we have somehow magically re-entered the init phase, which is impossible, but it's still there. And it's not clean. So can we get rid of that? That's where this comes in. Now, if we're no longer in the init phase, well, there's some crazy code here. The important statement is this. We grep our own code out of the pre-command list. This is not a list of code references, so we can't just say, is this my own code reference? This is a string equality test. So we have to somehow get into the string a copy of that string itself, the whole code. So this is actually a quine. A quine is a program that prints out its own source code without opening its own file or something like that. That's cheating. So this is the first time I had an actual use for a quine in real code. The trick here is the sprintf, both outside and inside. By the way, you can't just refer to the variable because that's a my variable, which is lexical to this file, so it disappears at the end. I didn't want to use a global variable because the debugger runs in the same program that is being debugged, and I didn't want to add any extra variables, so that's why this trick is here. And we use sprintf to expand. We use the code both as the template and the string to insert in place of the %s here in this line. This code reconstructs the whole code that is currently executing, and this outer sprintf builds the code in the first place to be inserted in the pre-prompt command. So we can run this, and it does the automatic stepping, and I can check there are no actions defined because it has cleaned up after itself. Nice, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about OWASP and securing applications using the project. For those who doesn't know what OWASP is, it's a project. It's an open project in every aspect. I can show you later, or you can read later this presentation about what the project is. But it basically is the open web application security project. So we would be talking a little bit about web applications. So basically, this is what you do normally with your programs. Your program got another input, some input. Then you do your magic, your per magic, or whatever magic you are doing. And then the program, of course, has any or some output, okay? But then you imagine that your output will be something like this, okay? And the output, the input will be something that you can rely on, or you can trust, or come from a beautiful place. So this is Instagram versus reality. Normally, what you will have in your input will be something that is more like this. Actually, when you're doing security, you try to use this to break what is happening with the program. Okay? So I will talk a little bit about verification. In security, normally we refer about semantically correct inputs. Okay? So normally we'll be checking that the input is correct semantically. For example, if you're doing inputs for a web application, you will be checking that your application is correctly handling what is in the input. For example, it's a string, but the thing is, in the web, everything is a string. You know? So we will be having this string, and we'll be trying to input this string, and we have to check all the things that the string is having. So we need to sanitize strings. You know, there is something called tainting, but it depends on the context. So the thing that you need to know is every function, every sub that is receiving that input need to check the input correctly. And also, the verification is the syntactic part. It corresponds to the what are we talking about. It's for example, it's a name. A name can be anything. A name, for example, will be uppercase letters and lowercase letters, and that's it. So after you check that, for example, using a regular expression or whatever you want, you need to check that if that input is really valid in the context of your program. For example, if it's an ID, and you're using this ID, you need to check if this ID is valid in the context, and also if it can be accessed by the user that it's accessing that ID. If for example, this was a bank account will have a syntactic expression, and then you will need to check for the validation that the user that is accessing that bank account really has permissions to do that. Okay? Okay, context and codification. For example, when you're doing output, you need to codify the output specifically for the correct context. You are using output for JS, you need to output JS. And also with HTML or whatever you're doing, XML, for example. So OWASP has 3 projects that I want to mention. The first one is, I think it's well known, it's called the Top 10. It has many versions from 2004 until last year, 2017. There is another one called the Top 10 Defensive Controls, and there is another one called the Application Security Verification Standard. So in this context, there is a nice list of things to check: injection, broken authentication, etc. The top 10 defensive controls are controls that you can add to your application to just not have the problems that we are mentioning in the top 10. And the Application Security Verification Standard is a list of things to just begin in opportunistic standard advanced ways, so every level will have more controls to add to your application. Those are the list of controls. Thanks.
Sorry about the flickering. Hi everyone, I'm Simon. I work at Zoopla. We are hiring. Feel free to talk to me about it, or my boss, but he's not going to be here tomorrow. I am a massive fan of Perl 6. Give me about 5 minutes and my laptop will stop working. No, give me 5 minutes and I will just start talking about random things. It's back. So this morning I thought I'll do a lightning talk, and I'm going to basically go through. These are five Perl 6 operators that I love, and I think all of them are good reasons why you might want to look at Perl 6 if this works. You're not going to see Perl 6? You're not going to see Perl 6? It was working fine. Hey! Is it back? Hey! So, yeah, I'll just continue. So, here's the first one. Everybody recognizes Smart Match. But the great thing about Smart Match in Perl 6 is it works. Not only does it work, it is extendable. So if you make an object, you can basically have your object know how to do smart matching to other ones of that type. Or there is like a default way that it works as well. So it's awesome, and it actually properly works. So if you look at any any Perl 6 code, you'll see smart match all over the place, and you might be like, oh god, smart match, no, don't be scared of the smart match. It works. %%. Now, who here knows what %% does? Few people, cool. Well, I'll tell the rest of you. %% means you don't have to write $x%2 equals 0. It is the divisibility operator. If you want to know if something is divisible by 0, you write $x%2, and it will not divisible by 0. You can divide by 0, of course, in Perl 6 because Perl 6 is sane and lets you do that. But yeah, I can never remember that for some bizarre reason. So %, awesome. Star. So star, yeah. Star is amazing. I mean, it's the multiplication operator, but it also makes code blocks. I mean, this is valid Perl 6 code. That is great. That will take 2 inputs. That will create a block that takes 2 inputs and multiplies them by each other, because it knows the one in the middle can't be a whatever code, because that wouldn't be a valid place to have one. It's awesome. Yeah, star. Everybody must be nice to star. Plus also, you can put it in prototypes and stuff, and it means this is where the code goes in the other bits and stuff. Yeah, it's really cool. Oh, and native call as well uses it as well. Does it work the same way in native call? I'll check that later. That's cool. And the square brackets. Yeah, square brackets. Now, so the square brackets, again, another one of these ones where it has multiple uses. You can use it for positional data referencing on an array, like in Perl 5, but also it's the reduction meta operator. I love this one. So what the reduction meta operator lets you do is you basically stick any infix operator in between those 2 square brackets, and then you put a list over here, and what it effectively does is it takes that infix operator and slaps it between all the values in the list, and then just does it. The great bit is, for instance, if you're doing like an infix where you're doing booleans, or the results are booleans, but you're doing integers. So like, let's say, for instance, you want to check everything in the list is greater than the next thing in the list. You just stick a greater than in and it will work. Because Perl 6 is that smart, it knows how to handle that. And again, writing operators that work with the reduction meta operator is also really easy. I did one the other day and it's quite simple. If anybody wants to ask me later, I'll tell you. Now this one's fun. Anybody know what this one does? Thank you, Yamari. Yes, function competition. What this will do, and like I said, there is actually two versions for it. You can just use letter O, or you can use the little thing, which I believe is the mathematical statement for this. Basically, you can take 2 functions that take an argument and compose them together to get another function, which will be basically what happens if you have the first function and then pass the result of that to the second function and so on. So if you've done any like pure functional programming, I did a load of ML back at uni before I dropped out, and this was in there quite a lot. And also, if you start pulling in assuming allows you to basically like fill in the gaps. So you can take something that takes 3 values. Use assuming will get back, that will carry you a function that only takes 1 value that you can then use for function composition to like chain together lots of stuff. Oh, and you can stick that in a reduction meta operator as well and smoke it. Yeah, so after I thought up all those this morning, I'm like, yeah, but there's all these other cool ones. So very quickly here, we've got approximately equal. That is awesome. If you've got 2 values, probably about right. The zip operator, that will allow you to zip together 2 lists, but you can also throw a second operator after it, in which case it will apply that operator to the 2 lists together. It's kind of cool. And the cross operator is similar. after I wrote this this slide, there was a whole big discussion on the GitHub lists, and apparently the hyperoperator and the question mark method operator aren't actually operators. There was a whole conversation about this, but yeah. But the dot question mark is great. You basically, that will call the method on an object if that object has that method, and if it doesn't, it will just go, eh. It's quite nice. What you can do is, I use it like if I want to like log every 10 requests. I just inject a logger into the 10th request, and then I just have lots of logging calls throughout my code, which just don't do anything if I don't have it. And the hyperoperators, which let you apply operators in different directions between lists. The documentation is really good on that. But yeah, Perl 6, lots of really cool operators and other really cool code. If you grab me for about 30 seconds, I will start bending your ear about it. And look! Oh, sorry.
If you want to know about smartness and some other more details, what we talked about, come to my talk tomorrow at 10. I have some
USB-C.
The nice people of Aligo asked me to tell you that there's beer available for the whole game night tonight. So,
Where is my mouse here? Hey. It's coming. Another announcement?
Yeah.
Let me log first. I think the problem is you plug it too early. Wait. Something really bad happened.
hi, me again. So Perl School is a brand that I used 5 years ago to run some cheap training. I've repurposed it. I did a lightning talk at the LPW at the end of last year about I'm now using the brand to sell small, cheap ebooks about Perl. We currently have 2 on sale on Amazon. One called Perl Taster, which I wrote, which is a very simple introduction to Perl. One called Selenium on Perl, which is about what you think it is. I have a really famous Perl author who's currently writing one for me. I've had one conversation at the conference. Somebody else who wants to write one for me. If you're interested in writing a book about Perl, and the one thing about ebooks is they don't need to be 200, 300 pages long. They can be really brief things. But if you're interested, please come talk to me and I can help you write a book about Perl.
Okay. Thanks. So online you can find me as Atomic. I had absolutely no idea I was going to give a talk until I attended Tina talk today about Git. I advise you to check it online. It's a very great talk about Git. So I say, there is probably something I can share. At least I've got a title. I've got no other slide than this one. So how wrong can it go? I'm not sure I should use that mic, but we'll see. And now that okay. Something is very bad. Okay, that's live demo. Yeah. Okay. That is something very, very bad. Okay, so I've got a story about Git, but without any terminal, it will be hard to show. Maybe I should come back. Yeah. LED. Yeah. Yeah. It's not working. So I think I need to restart on next one. No, I will come back. I will give it a second shot.
Yeah.
works. No.
Not getting rid of me. So this morning, Mark people warned you about a certain game.
No.
Cards Against Humanity. He didn't name it, and that's it. I don't have it with me. I do have with me Cards Against Puzzles. It's a slightly different version, but still as, well, some people could say bad. They can come from all close to it, but
And I have a much smaller Cards Against Downtime.
So hacking there, people talking and discussing. We had more people hacking even more on interesting stuff. We had actually people hacking on all kinds of useful things that all of you, I'm sure, will benefit from, well, for many years to come. Yes, this is what we do at the Perl Toolchain Summit, actually. We kind of sit there and think and work, and sometimes we think about very hard stuff. Don't worry about it. We take care and make sure that cPanel doesn't break. Just don't worry, we're on it. So what is the Perl Toolchain Summit? It's it used to be called the Perl QA Hackathon. It started in 2008, so we were 10 years this year. We usually invite 30 to 40 hackers to work 4 full days on toolchain issues and all kinds of community relevant stuff. Things we have been hacking on this year include this. This is not a complete list. POS, Meta cPan, cPan testers, Ceph, Carton, YAML, cPans. This is like what we mean with the tool chain. It's all the stuff that we use every day when we actually hack on Perl at work. In short, we work at the upstream parts of the cPan river. So when you saw the picture about the number of days since cPan broke, we're actually serious about that. If somebody fucks up, they actually break cPan. And this is a gathering of those kind of people. This is how it looks there. People working hard and some of them just like goofing off. And that's actually the whole thing here. We enjoy ourselves, we talk together, we discuss all kinds of interesting things, and at the end of each day we have a discussion about what we did. This is actually from the beginning of the day. This is about what we are going to do for the day. So we have stand-ups discussing the stuff going on. Some of the results from this year include preparing the works for the cPan, Meta cPan taking over Search cPan.org, that POS now uses Modulicious, making the I/O modules actually work on all the Perls again, support for native dependencies in the Perl 6 toolchain, performance improvements with the cPan testers, a bunch of CPM goodies, and quite a lot more. This is, of course, fueled by coffee. And we had also a 10-year social event where we enjoyed good food and beer and had some cake, of course. Then returned immediately to hacking and more hacking, and that's, we keep on doing that. Maybe report a little bit and share what we're doing, what we need help with. Now, all this might sound like just another day at work. It is not. It's actually really fun, to the point where some of you might want to come, because you get invited to some interesting place to do a full weekend of hacking with awesome people. So how can any of you join us? Start doing pull requests. We'll notice if you do something useful, and then we'll invite you. That's about it. We have to mention, by the way, some commercial things here. These are the sponsors that supported us. Thank you very much. These are us. We went here. This is a fantastic gang. If you guys want to join us, you'll find out that we are quite friendly. Next year's event will be organized by Neil Bowers and the current Pearl Toolchain Orga team, which is a bunch of people everywhere. It will be in Marlow, here in the UK. It will be on the Thursday 24th to Sunday 28th of April, so set aside those days immediately if you have any ambition on coming. You can read more eventually at pearltoolchainsummit.org or just get in touch with us on pts on irc.pearl.org. That's it. Thank you.
There is no do. At least we made some progress. Oh, not. It's coming. Cool. Yeah.
You haven't got it on the stream, that's the problem. No. I'm going to have to pull this again. Sorry.
Ready?
Yeah.
Let me see. That's worst. Okay, but I can deal with
Yes,
that.
good.
Not really. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Okay. 1 second. I need that one. Okay. So let's forget the slide. Let's focus on the terminal. So mainly, I'm going to show you a few Git tricks that I'm using on mainly aliases and a little more. So we are probably all using cPanel. And when I'm using cPanel, one of the nice features I like is look. So you can -- look any module, and it will just download. Of course. Okay, I'm already in. That's why. The problem is, what I really enjoy from Git is Git grep. So for anything, what I enjoy to do is to create a Git repo. And for this, I've got an alias named Git start. Git start is going to initialize the repo, tag it with root. So the alias is just there in the middle of the screen and initialize it. So from there, I can grep. So Git grep is too long, so like I can do gg like foo Git grep, okay? But better than this, because ACK is better than grep. I have GA for ACK. And the nice thing of ACK, you will notice that the file name is there only once. So it also highlights the term you are looking for. And the nice thing is you are piping it, like on a less or on a grep, that will render differently, different context there. The other thing I try to do is to have different Git setup that will adjust my config. Unfortunately, that's the last line. So we'll try to go up like this. So that can automatically set my Git config email and so on, depending on the repo. Okay. The other thing, so I'm going to abort there. So you might have different branch, so Git BR. But the nice thing is, so let's check out your branch. It's not easy one-handed, but I can do it. Okay, I'm check out to that branch. I'm going to say echo in an existing file. Okay, and I'm going to append to that file. Okay, so when we have a change, the most painful thing when we are developing is to find a commit message. On git commit -a or the file -i and so on. So I've got something, my message like this. My message, and that just, if I do a git log, I will see it. But better than this, if I add another thing, if I do not really know what to do at that point as message, I can just do git cm and automatically create the message for me. And in that case, it will just use the file name as the title message. And if I do not really like what the change I made, even if I have more than one commit, I can simply use git rev. And git rev will not do a revert. It will just restore the file to the master branch. And so if I do a git diff, I can see that I'm reviewing the 242 thing there. So that's cool. So I can see the LG that will show me the log like this. But usually when I do some code review, what I like to, more than the title or the message, I really like to see what were the changes using -s. Another nice thing is I can use git go using pair call. And git go will simply, it will sort the branch by history you have updated them, which will allow me to switch back to the last branch very easily. So I was on that branch, and I can also say git go A, and that will automatically filter this branch by A or ABC, whatever. That's very useful. The other very nice feature that I want to show you, and that will be the last one, is what I named git message in French. Sorry for the English. So when you do a git rebase, okay, you have one of these options named exec. And that's very nice because you can run any custom command between this line. And usually when I have a lot of commit, my commit messages are very poor, or they need to at least to be tagged with a case or something. So I just run git message that will open git rebase. And between every rebase, I've got that exec, the command I just typed. If I just set, it's not doable. Okay, so we can see that I run the command every time on what we have not. So right now, all the messages were updated. That's the current message. I can see the previous message if I, because I can get the git ID before I run it, which was that 79 thing here. So before I run it, there was no tagging, no, even the message was incorrect and poor. And I run that command, I do not care. Everything is ready to be pushed. So that's a few tricks like this. If you have any question, you can contact me online at Atomic. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Jasper from Tokyo, and I maintain several stuff. And today I put on a JSONPP maintenance hat and introduce some discussion happened in JSONPP repository. And let me start with the simple fact. Yes, Boolean is really simple because it has only two states, true and false. But Boolean in Part 5 is not that simple because we don't have native Boolean. For example, typical implementation of Boolean is like this. And what if a Boolean object embedded in a string? Probably first thing you can think of is, well, it should be used overload to return true and false. But then when you happen to string find false, then this is false string, so it's true. it's quite weird. So you need to eventually write the third thing. It's ugly. And I used either in the previous example, but if you search bool at cPanel, you have about 2,000 bool modules. Of course, not everything is not everything represents bool class, but it's too many. So, but you usually don't need to worry as long as you use bool object in the Boolean context. But you need to worry when you start serializing your data. Because, for example, JSON-PP or JSON as a JSON module accept only JSON-PP Boolean bool object by default. Luckily, JSON-PP Boolean is now in Profile core, so you can use it everywhere. But do you want to use JSON-PP Boolean if you don't use JSON? Probably no. Then people started wondering, what should we do? What should we do? How about Boolean.pm? It's been quite, it's been used out of place, but unfortunately, it is not supported by JSON module by default. Or how about type serializer? It provides Boolean objects that's a JSON-PP Boolean, so you can use it with JSON modules, and it has more neutral names for Symbol XS. However, the problem is it isn't in core, so it's hard for example, JSON-PP or Modulicious to use type serializer. And then what to do? Maybe we can add type serializer or something else into the core, or probably stick to JSON-PP Boolean under the food. The bottom line should be new stuff should work with existing module, otherwise people don't use that new stuff. And then recently, two new candidates emerged. One is bool.pm, written by Tina Mueller as a proof of concept at PTS. And one is TypesPool, written by Adrian Ferreira. But both have several issues to resolve. So if you have any type module or serializer, let us know your ideas to improve the situation. Thank you.
Compiling it before. The best way I have was generating a string with the word code and evaluating it. And I asked the audience if someone knows a better, a cleaner way to do that. I had no answer, so if you have one, just tell me. Thank you.
Hello. A couple of questions. Who of you actually enjoys queuing at a buffet? Who of you likes waiting in line? You know, the joy of anticipation, the forced conversations with random people right next to you, or they're staring at your phone. Please raise your hands if you do. Well, this talk is for all. This talk is for all of you who didn't raise your hand. Here's a picture I took yesterday. Maybe hard to see, but there's a long line going all the way to the buffet. I'm quite sure a couple of you remember waiting in that line, or like me, standing at the bar and waiting for the line to become short enough to be bearable. Here's another picture that I took today at lunch that hopefully not just demonstrates that there is a problem, but also may point at the cause. You see here quite a few people standing there and waiting, or already taking some food. But most of the table is still free. It's completely unoccupied. It's idle there, just waiting. So imagine, I'm standing in front of some salad, filling my plate. You're standing on my right. But maybe you're not that interested in salad. Maybe you're just waiting for that meat on my left. It's not just you waiting. It's every single one after you that also has to wait. So if I take my time filling my plate with salad, there may be an opening to my left because the other person has already moved along. So this tasty, meaty dish that you're waiting for idles. And this is time that may not sound that much, but it does add up. If you're at the end of the queue, you're idling a lot. So now I happen to be a vegan, and if I follow the social convention here, then I spend a lot of time standing in front of meat dishes or vegetarian dishes that I just have no interest in whatsoever. However, I'm blocking access to them. Nobody else can use them. They are idling again. Now, who of you, if I may employ you again, oh shit. Who of you thinks that this is actually the most efficient way of distributing food? That it doesn't get better than that. This is it. We have to live with it. So I'm seeing we're on the same page here. So as a software developer, there's this urge in me to just improve systems. And this is clearly a broken system that needs improving. So I propose a kind of a social experiment. Tomorrow at lunchtime, let's not do it again. Let's not form another long line with everyone waiting and nothing happening. Let's instead form multiple queues in front of those embarrassingly parallelizable processes and get our food faster. Now, you may worry. We may not have enough space for all those queues. It may devolve into chaos. But but I would wager, I would take any bet that even if it devolves into pure chaos, that it will still be faster than the broken system that we all use. Thank you.
Use my own in hopes that it works. I did on the test because we use VGA. I can't do two. Oh, yeah.
All right. See if we're good here.
You have a thing. Are you good?
Wow.
Finn!
Finn.
Yes, no, good.
Okay. Hey everyone. Hi. I know it's been long. So I am talking about welcome to Scotland, everyone. And I'm American. I don't know why I'm welcoming you. Anyway, so this is about code golf. And since I'm here in Scotland, I thought I'd talk about golf. And code golf is, I've done it on a site called codegolf.io. But you might be wondering, what exactly is code golf? Well, code golf is attempt to write some algorithm, so usually something simple, and you compare against other people, write it in the least amount of code possible. At least each character is like a stroke in golf, and you want your score to be low. So as for me, it's a way to learn the language better. And, prove your least skill. This is what code golf usually looks like. So also it's things like make it unreadable, waste time, and it's a great way to scare newbies from Perl. So, yeah, well, okay, so don't do with newbies. This is all for us advanced people. So you're all advanced in this room now. This is what the site looks like. There's a lot of different tests you can select, simple ones. There's more complicated ones if you scroll down. And then you just sort of enter your thing, like, okay, divide all the numbers by this, and you just click run, and oh, good, I passed. So I did it on a few things, and this is my score in Perl. And, I'm trying to be the best here, and this is my score in Perl 6. And I'm not doing that well, and like, wow, I really want to be the top, but so now I get to the real title of my talk, which is how I became the world's greatest PHP gold golfer without really trying. So, yeah, content warning, rated PG3 weak language. So I'll talk about a couple algorithms here. The first is FizzBuzz, which many of you all know. If you don't, you just count the numbers from 1 to 100. If it's divisible by 3, print 3. If it's divisible by 5, print buzz. Otherwise that. And very simple. Test that you know that the modulo operator exists. So what do I do as a developer? Well, first step is, look for any libraries that are out there, or just, blatantly steal. So I do a Google search. There's a lot on Stack Overflow, and here's what I found for PHP FizzBuzz. But I'm trying to reduce the number of strokes, so let's not do that. So, okay, well, I did one in Perl, so let's just do it in Perl. And here's what it looks, reasonable short version. I'll add some spaces so you can see what's going on. You take a couple lists, and you use the modulo to make an index. If there's something missing, it doesn't print anything. Or you end up putting the end. And so, it looks a little crazy, but so then I just re-implement this in PHP, and what do I do? Oh, pretty similar. And then, I don't know, is James Raspass in the audience? Yeah, okay, I haven't met you before. This is his site, so it's great. Back when I did this originally, it printed all this garbage for, bare words, which is, like, I want to be able to use bare words. So it's been fixed now, but pretend I'm still back at the time, and PHP has a great solution. It's the most beautiful thing, and we should talk about it in Perl, which is the @ sign. I don't know if you know about this, but @ suppresses an error in front of any warnings or any errors in the entire statement or function call. Just one little character. This is beautiful for code golfers. So all you do is you just put that @ sign right there, and it works. Wonderful. I mean, really, PHP totally has us beat here. PHP is great. We have, so, even 1 divided by 0, you put that @ sign, nope, goes away like that. Is anything really true? Who knows? But 1 over 0, not a speaker. So, compared to us, look how many characters that uses. Yeah, you win this round. So, I had requested this for Perl 6. I'm still waiting on them. This is, instead of outside, this is the obvious operator for it. Okay. So I'll do one more. All right. So, pangram grep, which is basically find out if a sentence or string contains every English letter. So these are a couple examples of that. So I'll just start with my Perl 6 solution and then port that to PHP. Well, okay, no, that's not going to help at all. So, all right, we'll go down to my Perl 5 solution. And that's pretty easy, but I got to that one word grep there. And how does grep work in PHP? So I have to look through the PHP library. And it has all these things in there. It's huge. It's got the kitchen sink. There's a C style, great for golfing. Little things that you can't, understand. The Perl style ones, and this is all garbage in the classes, but you have to set a PHP identity. So there's all these, instead of having simple map and grep, they have all these different functions, which of course take arguments in different orders. So, you know, pay attention. So yeah, basically map and grep take reverse order arguments there. But I use the special regular expression one, which is at the bottom. So I do that, and hey, it's, well, it's not that short, but it's actually shorter than other people, so yay! How did I get myself? Woo! Hey, I made it to number 1 at the PHP. Yeah! I am to win. Thank you to James for coding that, you know, random people I stole code from, Alex Daniel for writing the blog post. Also, work for Perceptics, we're hiring. No PHP. All right, everybody, Perl. Come on. Yeah. No, wait, where's the other? All right. Oh, yeah.